How are you? My name is Ardalan Gilavizadeh. Why I'm saying my book about the growing saffron indoors is the best book not only in the saffron industry but even in the vertical farming industry. Why? Because my book, free of all the scientific sentences, scientific expressions, scientific words, in my book explain everything about the growing saffron indoors with a simple language from the beginning till the end. For example, starting, this is the ground, how we can start in the ground, the specification of the ground. I have determined it should be north, south, east, the building. How we can build a building for the saffron farming. How you can rent a house. If you have any room in your house, how you can equip for the growing saffron. I have considered all the scenario for the saffron farming. For example, from the starting, after the buying the ground, which specification ground should have, about the water factors. What is what water factors for the buying the ground? What is the specification of the soil? Which insulation you need for the building, from the wall, from the ceiling, and after you build the saffron farm, the equipment that you need. From the beginning, I started with the details, very detailed details, with the contact number. For example, you need, this is the I have mentioned the information, the details of the building. For example, for the panel, for example, for the AC, everything that you need for the building, for the material. With the contact number, you can open the book and contact the person that sell this material. Or if you don't want to buy, I have the mentioned details, you can easily buy from your local market. After that, the equipment that you need. I have provided a list of equipment that you need. For example, for the shelves, for the chiller, air handling unit, this is the shelves, and also any small equipment that you need. Anything that you need, for example, like the anemometers, like the CO2 meter, thermometer, the trolley, everything that you need for the saffron farming. After equipment, you need to saffron bulbs. I mentioned from the buying the saffron bulb in the both hemisphere. You know, due to the problem that some of people that have faced, some of the during the shipping, their bulbs faced with the problem. All the bulb spoils. Sometimes receive the very bad bulb. In my book, mention the best companies that we have to trust them to the shipping saffron from the bulbs. And mention, I have the contact number, and you can buy the best saffron farm from the both hemisphere. After equipment and after buying the saffron bulb, I have provided a timetable for the 365 of the days for the both hemisphere. Near the 700 days, I have the mention for each day. I have mentioned the best temperature, CO2, and humidity, also the light. I have the mention which factors you need from the day by day. For example, this is a day 1, day 2 in the timetable for the both hemisphere. According my experience, with this condition, we receive the best result for receiving the maximum flowering. After the timetable, I have to mention the best way for the dormancy phase. How we can do watering, how we can increase the humidity, how we can provide the light, artificial, natural, how we can provide install the exhaust exhaust for the regulating CO2. For the receiving the light, I have to consider the program for the watering system. Which state, which months they need the water. Fertilizer program. I mentioned in my book the worst scenario, the challenges that you face. For example, after the harvesting the saffron flower, the separating, stigma from the petal takes time and really costly labor force. How you can solve it? I have to mention the machine that separate the stigma from the petal. I have to solve the problem, the challenges that you face. For example, I have to mention the name of the company that they sell machinery for the separating a stigma from the petal. And after that, for the propagation, I have mentioned, this is the new category of my book, I have to mention the new way for propagation, the saffron bulbs, so that you don't face with the problem during propagation with the new method. How you can during propagation, the water requirement, the fertilizer. I have mentioned gram by fertilizer with a simple language, so that if you have any daughter, any son with the 15 years old, he or she is easily able with the opening and go with the program, exactly like the food recipe for the making for the propagation phase. How you can propagate inside the shelves. What requirement you need inside the shelves for the propagation, like the problem for the staying the water, for the drainage, exactly I have to mention. After that, the disease and disorder that you may be faced during from the buying the saffron bulb till end of the propagation. I have mentioned the disease and disorder with the pics and the videos. You can see the name of the disease and how we can prevent and how we can combat with the disease or disorder. After that, I have to mention how we can saffron, how we can grow and the time of the flowering, how we can harvest, after harvest, how we can dry it with the machine. If you don't have any machine, the best way for the high quality of saffron, how you can dry the saffron, the best way. And after the drying saffron, starting to the propagation, the changes that you need on the shelves. After that, before that, after that, and you want to, before starting, you want to, what is the cost, what is the benefit? I have provided a complete business plan. Even I have to mention the small cost, any cost, like the gas energy, like the electricity, like the water requirement, like the amount of the labor for 10 years. For 10 years, I have to mention the business plan for the 10 years, and I have to consider the amount which time you should pay for the labor cost, how many labor. After the standard business plan, I have to mention how we can experience twice flowering, which requirement we need. After that, and you want to culture the saffron bulbs, I have explained with a simple language and completely about the tissue culture from the beginning, with the PDF and with the videos, everything about the tissue culture of the saffron bulb with a simple language, without free of the scientific sentences. You don't need to do any agricultural background or laboratory background. You can read. After that, I have to mention what is the company for the buying the saffron. I have to mention the companies that you can buy the saffron. I have to mention all the best company in the Iran. If you are interested by the high quality of the saffron, you can contact. I have mentioned the successful people, my client, that they are growing saffron across the world. You can contact them. If you have any question about the saffron, you can contact with these people. After that, for any section in my book, for any section, I have mentioned contact number for the chiller, for the air handling unit, for anything that I am explaining. If needed, you buy it, I mentioned the contact number for the buying. With this book, you can easily start a project, a small, medium, large project. And all these books come from my brain. Not any, even you can't find even any one sentence from the internet or any book. All 100% of this book come from my brain. Which brain? The brain that has led the biggest saffron farm in the world in the UAE, the first saffron farm in the Germany, the biggest saffron farm in the Europe, in the Slovakia. 90%, I have led 90% of the saffron project in the Iran, near the 80% saffron project in the India. And my client are across the world. I have the client from all countries and bring the experience, the challenges we face in the book. Everything I have to explain in the book. It's a complete book. The PDF. This is a PDF plus the videos plus 2 days online consultation. The story is You read the PDF, then watch the videos. After watching the videos, you face, for example, some question. But I promise you, I remove all your doubts, all your questions. But if you didn't, if you have finally you have some question, even at the end of my book, I have the worst scenario. What is the frequent questions? I have mentioned the worst scenario in my book. For example, economic sector for different countries, for example, Turkey, India, and about the different costs that you should pay. And after that, if you have any question, no worries. I will consider for you 2 days online consultation. For any day, there is not any limitation. For example, you can use one of the day, tomorrow, 7 weeks later, next year, 2 years later, 10 years later, one of the day. And another day, another day. Any day that you are comfortable. For each day, I don't put any timer. Any hour that you need, as much as you have energy, I can put time, for example, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, and you can ask all your questions in the day of the consultation. I promise you, with this package, will be remove all your questions and the doubts and about saffron farming in the indoor condition. Only myself sell my own book. Only with this number 00989358253945. I didn't put any site, any link. Only way for the buying my book myself via WhatsApp. We can talk together before buying, and you can decide for the buying saffron bar. Thank you.